Welcome back to our Tanager Talk, and on the line we have Chandler Cleveland of the state champion Vermilion Tanagers girls basketball team. Chandler, will it ever get old to hear that?
No, I see random people in the hallway and they're like, "Hey, you're state champ." I'm like, "Yep, pretty awesome." Yeah, it won't get old.
I didn't think so. And you know what? We're going to talk about that run, and we're going to talk a lot about basketball and other sports as well. But first, for people that might not know you or know you well, why don't you just kind of introduce yourself and talk about a little bit about you and introduce your family as well.
Well, I'm a senior at Vermilion High School. I have a twin sister, Janaea, and I have two younger siblings. Tatum, she's in first grade, and then Kale, he's in seventh grade. And then two parents. My mom works at USD, and my dad works in Sioux Falls. And yeah, that's about it. I play 4 sports. Yeah, that's basically it.
And what are all the sports you play?
I play soccer, basketball, softball, and I do track and field.
Okay, so now with softball and track and field, how does that work? How is that going to work this season? Are you able to do both?
Yeah, so I do both. My coaches are very flexible. We just have to figure out some mornings I go in early before school and I practice one sport. That way I can practice the other one after school. If I don't do that, then I just kind of try to go to both practices after school. It's definitely a lot, but my coaches are very flexible and they work with me on how to make it best work.
All right. Well, when it comes to softball, what position or positions do you play?
I kind of play everywhere. My main position is pitcher, but I can play basically anywhere except outfield. I'm really bad at outfield, but yeah, third base, shortstop, first base, pitcher, anywhere.
Okay. And then what are your events in track and field?
I throw the javelin, I throw the shot put, and I throw the discus.
All right. And now I had this discussion with somebody just earlier today, in fact. So while everyone kind of thinks, okay, these are the throws, whatever, they're 3 very distinct actions. How do you keep from one trying to seep over into the other? I mean, because javelin is very precise as far as your steps and your lower body and upper body, but it's completely different than the spins that go with the discus. And then I know with shot put, some people do the spin, but others just do the straight leg kick. Is it difficult to separate the mind and say, okay, now I'm doing this motion? Or have you been doing it long enough that it really just all becomes muscle memory?
Yeah, so at practice we usually do only 1 or 2 events, so it's not too much mentally. But I also think that as being a pitcher, you just learn that there's different motions for everything, and you just have to kind of just not think too deeply into it and just try to figure it out as you go and not just try to get overwhelmed by it, I guess.
All right. Now, if somebody said you can only do one of those 3 events, which one is your favorite?
It changes every meet based on how I do. If I do really good in the discus, I might say discus. If I do really good in the javelin, I might say javelin. Right now, it's probably javelin, just because, I don't know, I just enjoy doing it the most, I guess. But, yeah, it kind of just changes meet to meet.
All right. And what are your aspirations for your track season? What's your ceiling, do you think? Do you have a ceiling?
Yeah, there was a lot of really good people who graduated last year from track who were throwers. So really just trying to qualify in all 3 events, I think, would be my goal for this year.
All right. And then softball, you guys had a pretty solid season last year. Graduated some talent, but a lot of good returners. What's your feeling for this softball season?
I'm really excited. I think that we're looking good in practice. I mean, it's hard because it's been cold out on the ground. Has been wet from the snow, so we haven't really been able to practice outside, but I feel like we're looking good, and Coach Bud and Coach Tara and Coach Olson, they're all really good at what they do. They know their stuff, and I think that it's going to be a good year.
All right. Well, we're going to talk some basketball, and we're going to talk about the honors that you received, but as a senior, what are your post-graduation plans?
I plan to go to SDSU and major in architecture and maybe minor in business, and really just try to get involved around the college and try to meet new people and that's basically it.
All right. So, once these spring sports are done, that'll pretty much be an end to your kind of competitive athletics career?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you kind of, does that, is there a little emotion that goes with that as you kind of realize you're entering this final phase of something?
For sure. Sports have always been a huge part of my life. And for me, it'll be nice because I still have younger siblings, so I can still, like, stay involved. And then in college also, I'll be going out for every intramural sport. I'll be trying to do whatever I can to stay with it just because sports have always been a huge part of my life, and I love them.
All right. And we're going to talk about some other opportunities you have, just to play, some high school basketball coming up and that. But first, just a couple of icebreaker questions. I know I've asked you some before, but I think some of them changed just a little bit. One is, if money were no object, what is the one thing you would buy?
Um, I would probably start my own business. I want to have my own architecture business, so probably start my own business because that's going to be very expensive, or just pay for my college because that's all I can think about right now is college and how I'm going to pay for it and all that stuff.
Yeah, and that's true. I mean, I could definitely see that. That'd be a worthwhile investment. Uh, I think that would be good. And architecture is a great field. Are you hoping to stay around this area or the Midwest at least, or do your visions take you to the coasts or something?
It's kind of just up in the air. I have all of my family lives here, and I'm a big family person, so I don't know if I would really be able to leave them, but at the same time, I do not enjoy South Dakota weather. Like, I love warmer weather, so if I did get an opportunity somewhere warmer, I would probably take it just to try to branch out. But I don't know. If I happen to stay here, that'd be completely fine, too, because I'd be close to family.
So the goal is to make enough money that you have a place to go during the winter where you can still run your business then, right?
Yes, that would be nice.
That would be the best. All right, best of both worlds then. All right, now, growing up, who is somebody that you looked up to and you held, maybe put on a pedestal and you said, if I can live my life or be like him or her, I will be pretty successful in life?
I would say I've always looked up to my grandma Gassman. She works so hard. Her and my grandpa own their own business. She takes care of all of us, my grandpa. She's always at all of our events, no matter, I mean, some days she's going from my basketball game to my cousin's basketball game. And in South Dakota, everything's an hour apart. So she's always driving, always showing up to all of our things. And she does it with so much love and gratitude, and she never asks for anything in return. So I think she's always been a good role model for me.
All right, and where does she live?
She lives in Canova, South Dakota. It's a really small town. I don't know if many people know about it, but yeah.
Well, the Canova gang, amateur baseball. That's why I wondered with the last name Gassman. I thought I've only heard it before in the context of Canova baseball, so that's why I was kind of wondering if that's where they lived. Awesome. Well, yeah, and like you said, we talk in terms of time, not miles, because there's always this distance to travel to just about anything in South Dakota. We view it as close, but it's still an hour and a half away. So that's great that she's able to make that to all of your things. Well, I tell you what sparked this call was that I saw two things. First, that you received some all-conference recognition. Let me ask you, how did that feel to finally get recognized? Because, and I don't know if you know who Horace Grant is on the Chicago Bulls a long time ago, but I always kind of fashioned you and thought of you kind of in that role, just this player that you could count on for, just doing the blue-collar work and get you 10, 12, 14 points, 5, 6, 7 rebounds, play great defense. But it felt like it felt like you did it silently. All of a sudden you look down at the box score and, oh, there you are, that leading scorer, leading rebounder, whatever it might be. What did it feel like to receive that recognition of all conference at the end of the season?
It was really nice. I mean, a lot of people on our team deserved multiple awards. I think that anybody would have been good for it. So yeah, it was nice just to know that other people saw that I was doing the work and was deserving of that award.
Was that, coming into this season, you guys had a lot of returning talent, but there were also a couple of things that felt like, kind of body shots with Casey going down. You lost Leah off last year's team through graduation. Casey going down to injury. What was your feeling heading into this season? What did you think did you guys feel like you could accomplish what you ended up accomplishing, which is a state championship?
That was always the goal. I mean, looking at even last year, Hamlin won, and when we played Hamlin, I was like, wow, like winning the state championship, like that would be huge. And so like that was the goal, but I think that it wasn't really like, wow, like we can actually do this until I think the postseason. And we were just like why not? Like we might as well.
Well, that's exactly right. And then, let's talk about that postseason. So, it wasn't an easy road, even from the regions. All of a sudden you had that game against Lennox where Lennox pushed you guys to the limit. What was going through your guys' minds towards the end of that game, as, it was still nip and tuck and close. And after having been so close the last 2 years, the 1 year against St. Thomas More, the eventual state champion, losing by 3. Double overtime, I think, against T area in the region championship. Were you guys thinking, we're not going to let this happen to us again?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that all of us, we were more nervous for the Lennox game than we were for any game this year, including the state tournament. Like, we just knew that if we got past Lennox, we were going to be completely fine. And I think that once we did beat them, it was just a huge sigh of relief, because we were just like, yeah, we can do this.
Well, and then you ended up with a good Sodak 16 matchup. Winter was a good team, but you guys matched up really, really well against them, and so ended up having a pretty nice win for the Sodak 16. What was that moment like when you guys realized we have just punched our ticket to the state tournament?
I don't think it really kicked in until we actually won. Like, I thought, like, it felt like a 1-point game the whole time, just because Winter was a very aggressive team and there was just so much on the line. So I feel like it didn't really sink in until we won and we had all of our fans surrounding us and everyone was so excited. I looked up in the fourth quarter and I was like, we're actually up by like quite a bit. Like, I didn't feel like that during the game.
Well, and I'll agree. Calling that game, if I didn't have to give the score, it always felt so much closer and then you look up, all of a sudden it's a 10-point lead, a 15-point lead. It's like, okay. It never felt like that until, all of a sudden you look up and you're like, oh, there's really no way they can come back. And you just felt excited. So that was amazing. And then, you guys get to the state tournament, and I think, maybe you just felt like, okay, we need to give the people their money's worth, so we're going to let them hang around until the fourth quarter. Was that the mindset? We'll just toy with them for 3 quarters?
Yeah, it must have been. We must have just been like, well, we're going to give them a show. They came all the way out here. Might as well let them have something to watch. Apparently, that was our game plan.
Well, exactly. Well, I mean, honestly, the A's this year, the A girls' turn, when you have teams like Wagner and Florence Henry, not making it, that shows how deep this year's Class A, shows how deep Class A was this year. I don't know that there was a more stacked tournament, boys or girls, than Class A girls this year. And you guys started off with Makpialuta, who was undefeated. They're gritty, they're scrappy, they're quick. And then to play 3 games in a row like that, you play against Makpialuta, and you defeat them. After that game, did you guys really think, okay, this really is something that we can do? We've just taken down an undefeated team. We've got a real shot at this whole thing.
Yeah, 100%. We knew that coming into the state tournament, the 1 through 8, anyone could have won. It was just going to come down to who showed up that night to play. And I think that once we beat Red Cloud, we were just ready. I was like, we already won 1 game. I was like, the worst we can get is 4th, but like we might as well just get first at this point. So yeah, it was definitely a lot, but we were willing to work hard, and that just is what it came down to. We showed up every game, and we just wanted to win.
Well, and then, the road didn't get any easier. You played a really tough Sisseton team, a lot of size that could shoot from the outside. And boy, that one went down to the wire as well. And didn't it just feel like it was meant to be that you guys faced T for the championship? I mean, it's been 2 years of just you guys battling each other. It almost felt like that's the way it had to be.
Yeah, 100%. We lost to them in the regular season, and I think the way that we coped with that is we just kind of were joking around and we were like telling ourselves, like, it's fine, we'll beat them in the championship. And we were really joking, but when it just so happened that T and us were both in the state tournament, we were like, that's what's going to happen. Like, everyone around us was saying, like, it's going to be Vermilion and T in the state championship. And then it actually ended up being. So it was just kind of ironic and funny that we had always said, we'll just have to beat them in the state championship. And then we actually did.
Well, and it was amazing. I mean, the energy in Brookings was unbelievable that day. And, you guys, and again, they got out to a lead, and you're thinking, oh no, and you guys, you were unfallible. You stayed calm, you stayed cool, chipped away at it, and all of a sudden, kind of like with the winter game, but only it actually was close. All of a sudden, you're up by a little bit, and then back behind by a little bit. When those final seconds ticked off, what did you feel when you realized we are state champions?
I mean, I was excited, but most of all, I was just trying to take in the moment. It's really a special thing to be able to accomplish that with a team as close as we were. So I was excited that we won, but I was honestly just more happy that we could do it as a team.
And talk about this team. This team has been through a lot together. You got a lot of you have played together for, some have played since being really young. You guys came into the community a little bit later, but it really feels like this team was exactly that. You guys didn't care who was getting the credit. You guys didn't care who was getting the recognition. You guys, welcomed in a seventh grader last year, eighth grader this year. Not only welcomed her in, but gave her the ball and let her lead the offense. And nobody seemed too big for the rest of the team. Is that a mindset that you guys have had all year long?
Yeah, absolutely. Before every game, me and Brooke would look at each other, and if we were nervous, we looked at each other and we were like, it's fine. Taylor won't let us lose, and it's awesome to be able to say that about an eighth grader. And the thing is that we were all willing to work our butts off. We didn't care who scored 20 points as long as somebody scored and somebody was on defense. It didn't matter. We just knew that we had to work hard for each other.
Well, it was an amazing run, and it was amazing. It was fun to be able to broadcast that, then to be up in Brookings when it happened. But, and you probably thought, okay, that's the end of my high school basketball career, but you get one more crack at playing some competitive basketball. How did you find out that you were selected for the 3-class shootout?
We were on the way to the state tournament, and I was looking at my email just for school-related purposes, and I saw that I got the email from I don't know who it was that reached out, but someone from Montrose reached out, and I went over to Brooks. I was like, Brooks, what is this? Because, I had heard about other people doing it, but, I didn't really know what it was necessarily. And, yeah, and then he just explained, this is, the game where all the classes compete, and I just was really excited to be able to not have to be playing against all the really good people that we played against throughout the year, just to be on their team and try to take over the AA and B.
Well, and it's a really fun opportunity. It's pretty unique. I don't know other states that do it, but it's kind of a fun atmosphere, and you'll be on the same team as some people that you've competed against, and you'll get a chance to play against some players that you probably haven't competed against before. So, like I said, it's your last competitive, organized game. Are you just going to kind of soak in the moments as well with this?
Yeah, just soak it in, get to enjoy being around my family at my game, just try to enjoy the last basketball game.
All right. Well, before I let you go, players and people are shaped by those in their lives. What would you say to like your family and your coaches for your time in Vermilion?
I'd just like to thank them. They were always very supportive. They believed in me. They were willing to come in whatever time and help me with my shooting or just other skill work. So just always being there for me and being supportive, believing in me, stuff like that.
All right. Well, Chandler, I want to thank you for taking the time to talk with me today. I really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to keeping tabs on you. It might not be the last time we talk because I'll be broadcasting softball, and we'll be keeping tabs on you for track and field, and so maybe we'll have some more interviews in the future for that, if that'd be okay.
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right. Well, Chandler, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me. Really appreciate it, and you have yourself a great day and have a great Easter.
You too.
That was Vermilion Tanager senior Chandler Cleveland. Received all conference mention, honorable conference honors for in the DAC 12. She's also going to be a part of the 3-class shootout this weekend, and she's also going to be in softball and track and field this spring. So it's not the last we've heard from Chandler. All right, this was brought to you by Dakota Realty in Vermilion. For all of your real estate needs in Vermilion and the surrounding areas, contact Dakota Realty, a proud sponsor of Tanager Talks. This has been At the Mic with Michael Schumacher, brought to you by JR's Oasis. We'll be back on ESPN Radio, 101.5 FM, 1570 AM, KVTK, Vermilion, and Yankton.